He saw that the king furnished the latter with everything in abundance. He said to the elephant, "You and I together have committed sins." The elephant was at once remorseful and spent 3 days without eating. Worried, its keepers set out to look for the monk and, having found him, asked, "What spell have you placed on the king's white elephant that it is sick and does not eat?" He answered, "In a previous lifetime, this elephant was my younger brother. Under the Buddha Kasyapa we left home together to practice the path. I was satisfied to keep the precepts, recite sutras and practice dhyana, but I did not practice generosity. On the other hand, my brother limited himself to soliciting patrons and making gifts. He did not observe the precepts and did not educate himself. Having thus renounced observing the precepts, reciting sutras and practicing dhyana, today he is this elephant. But because he was very generous, food and amenities come to him in abundance. As for myself, I was content to practice the path, but I was not generous in making gifts. Thus today, even though I have attained the fruit of arhathood, I am unsuccessful in getting any food when I beg. This explains why causes and conditions vary for each individual and why, although being born in the golden age of a Buddha, one may still be hungry and thirsty. Question: how did these beings see their bowls filled? Answer: some say that the Buddha, by his miraculous power, created food that satisfied them. According to others, the Buddha's rays, on touching their bodies, suppressed their hunger and thirst. This is like the wish-fulfilling jewel. Those who think of it have neither hunger nor thirst. What then could be said of those who meet the Buddha? The Sutra says that the sick are cured. There are 2 kinds of sickness. 1. All kinds of illnesses are contracted as punishment of actions carried out in previous lifetimes. 2. In the present lifetime, all kinds of illnesses are also contracted following sudden cold, heat or wind. In the present lifetime, sicknesses are of 2 types. I. Internal sicknesses. Disturbances of the 5 internal organs, coagulation, sickness due to the stars, etc. E. External sicknesses. Being crushed by a chariot, falling from a horse, being injured by weapons and other accidents of this kind. Question: what are the causes of sickness? Answer: for having devoted oneself in past lifetimes to all kinds of violence, e.g., beatings, pillage, imprisonment, etc. Sicknesses are contracted in the course of the present lifetime. In the present lifetime, again, all kinds of sickness are contracted due to lack of hygiene, wrong nourishment, irregularity of sleeping and rising. There are 404 different illnesses. These illnesses are cured by the Buddha's miraculous powers. What is said is as follows. The Buddha was in the country of Chopoti. A Vaishya invited him and the Sangha to take a meal at his house. There are 5 reasons why the Buddha, staying in a vihara, would go for a meal. 1. He wishes to enter into samadhi. 2. He wishes to preach the Dharma to the Devas. 3. He wishes to visit the monks' cells in the course of his walk. 4. He wishes to care for the sick monks. 5. He wants the monks who have not yet taken the precepts to take the preceptor. Then raising up the door latch with his hand, the Buddha entered the bhiksu's cells. He saw a bhiksu who was sick and had no caregiver. Unable to rise up from his bed, he carried out all his needs in his bed. The Buddha asked him, "Why, O unfortunate man, are you alone and without a caregiver?" The bhiksu answered, "Bhagavat, I am lazy by nature and, when the others were sick, I did not care for them. Thus, now that I am sick, the others are not caring for me." The Buddha said to him, "My child, it is I who am going to take care of you." Then Chatipo Na Min brought water and the Buddha, with his own hands, washed the sick man's body. When the washing was finished, All the sick man's sufferings had disappeared, his body and his mind were at peace. Then the Bhagavat helped the sick bhiksu rise and go out of his cell, gave him clean garments, then he made him go back in, refresh his mattress and sit down. Then he said to the sick bhiksu, "For a long time you have sought indolently to attain that which you have not yet attained, to understand that which you have not yet understood. This is why you have had to undergo these sufferings, and you will still have more to suffer." Hearing these words, the bhiksu said to himself, "The Buddha's loving kindness is immense, his miraculous power incalculable. When he washed me with his hand, my sorrows immediately disappeared. My body and my mind rejoiced." This is how the sick are healed by the miraculous power of the Buddha. IX. The Sutra says that the crippled recover their wholeness. Why are they crippled? 1. In the course of the previous existences, these people had mutilated bodies, cut off heads, hands and feet and broken limbs. Or they had broken a statue of the Buddha and torn off its nose. They had damaged a picture of a saint or broken the grindstone of their parents. For these sins they are often crippled when they take on a body. Furthermore, as punishment for the bad dharmas, they are ugly from birth. 2. In the present existence, they are victims of robbers or butchers and they are crippled because of all this. Or the sicknesses of wind, cold or heat causes them physical discomfort and parts of their bodies become infected. This is why they are crippled. But thanks to the Buddha's loving kindness they recover their wholeness. Thus, for example, the servant of the Jetavana called Kyanti Gandhika in the Sine language means cut up. He was the brother of King Poseu Ni. He was handsome, kind and endowed with an excellent heart. A high court lady fell in love with him, called him secretly and asked him to follow her, but Gandhika refused. The lady became very angry and slandered him to the king, placing the blame on him. On hearing this, the king had him cut into pieces and thrown into a cemetery. As he was not yet dead, a Rakshas tiger wolf came during the night to feed him. Then the Buddha came to him and shone his rays on him. His limbs reunited at once and his heart felt great joy. The Buddha preached the Dharma to him and he attained the threefold path. Taking him by the hand, the Buddha led him to the Jetavana. Then Gandhika said, "My body was broken and abandoned. The Buddha has rejoined my limbs. I must dedicate my life to him. I give my body to the Buddha and to the Sangha of Bhikshus." The next day, on hearing of this event, King Prasenajit went to the Jetavana and said to Gandhika, "I am sorry for the mistake I have committed against you. Indeed, you are not guilty, I have wrongly punished you. Therefore I am going to give you half of my kingdom as compensation." Gandhika answered, "I am satisfied, O king, you are not guilty either. It must be that way as punishment for faults that I have committed during my previous existences. But today I have given my body to the Buddha and the Sangha. I will not return with you." This is how the crippled who have lost their wholeness recover it when they receive the Buddha's rays. This is why the Sutra says that the crippled recover their wholeness. They are re-established as soon as they receive the Buddha's rays. B. Sutra. All beings obtained the mind of equanimity by thinking of one another with the feelings one would feel for one's mother, one's father, one's older brother, one's younger brother, one's older sister, one's younger sister, one's relatives, or one's spiritual friend. They practiced the 10 wholesome ways of acting. Pure, remaining celibate, they were without faults and were full of bliss like that experienced by a bhiksu in the 3rd dhyana. They approved of wisdom, keeping the precepts, mastery of the self and non-violence towards beings. Sastra. Question. These beings had not renounced desire, were not concentrated and did not possess the 4 limitless ones, how could they attain an evenness of mind?